answer lies in the heart of battle.
King of Iron Fist Tournament.
Mugen TV versus Corner.
Welcome to the stage of history retold.
Hey everyone, this is MugenLord here, and I'm back in with another video. And today I want to talk about Street Fighter V and the future of the Street Fighter franchise, because I think it's very important, it's very crucial at this point. Is because Street Fighter V has definitely been something that fans have been waiting for, because Street Fighter 4 has been pretty much been around since 2008, and it's been running all the way up into 2016. So that's been about a good 7 to almost 8 years since fans have been playing Street Fighter 4, and Street Fighter 4 had pretty much had a strong opening, and everyone enjoyed the franchise, the series altogether. Even though it did had his bumps, his hurdles, and everything, especially with Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, that pretty much messed up everything a little bit as far as balances with certain characters. And then they did a I guess you say Arcade Edition 2013, where they did another update and they tried to fix quite a few issues as far as balancing is concerned. And then they took characters, of course, from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which was Poison, Hugo, and of course Elena, and they implemented them into Street Fighter 4, and even included those stages into some of the stages into Street Fighter 4 as well, to keep the game pretty much still alive and kicking well and everything. So everyone is definitely looking forward to what's the future of the Street Fighter franchise, because Street Fighter 4 had definitely revived and kickstarted Street Fighter once again, because Street Fighter has disappeared for quite some time, especially after Street Fighter the Fighting Jam series, where they had a compilation of all these different fighting games all into one, which was very horrible. That was pretty much a licensed Mugen project, and it just didn't mesh together, just didn't work right, and there was a lot of recycled assets that's been used and been applied to the game, and that was pretty much the practice that Capcom was going with when it came to their fighting games of that time. So that pretty much also caused the collapse and it caused the destruction of the 2D, I guess you say, sprites, or the 2D department when it came to their fighting games. And since then, Street Fighter had disappeared for numerous of years into Street Fighter 4. So then we have Street Fighter 5. There's been talks about Street Fighter 5 because fans, you know, a fighting game was sticking around but for so long, and after a while, no matter how many changes that you do to the game, how much DLC that you add to it, eventually people's going to get tired and get bored of it and want something new. They want a different perspective, especially when the next generation consoles was on the horizon, which was the PS4 and of course the Xbox One. So everyone is wondering, like, hey, what are they going to do with the next Street Fighter entry? So everybody waited patiently. Then once the next gen consoles did release, Capcom did release, I guess you could say, a HD or a remastered version of Ultra Street Fighter 4 for the console, so everyone got a chance to still continue to play Street Fighter 4, which definitely still kept the community intact, kept everybody together and everything. And then that's when they hit us with that bombshell. But before they hit us with that bombshell, Ono did say, yeah, we'll be definitely working on the next entry of Street Fighter, but it was going to take a good 4 to 5 years before you ever get a chance to really see the game actually released, and we actually see an image of the game or anything related to Street Fighter 5. But then soon after that, they hit us with a bombshell that we were definitely going to get a Street Fighter 5, and it just came out of nowhere, because we were ensured from Ono that we weren't going to see it for some time. He even left hints of where he was going to go as far as direction is concerned with Street Fighter 5. Especially, he took some images of him playing Mortal Kombat 9 at the time. And the thing was, with Mortal Kombat 9, what NetherRealm Studios had did that was interesting was the story mode. So it kind of gave us a hint, because he said how much he enjoyed the story mode of Mortal Kombat 9. So hopefully we see what they would do as far as the story mode is concerned for the next entry of Street Fighter. So when they hit us with that bombshell and they announced that Street Fighter 5 is definitely in the works and it's on the way, and when they gave us the release date of 2016, it kind of boggled my mind, is because we were, what, at the time, 2015 when it was announced, or was it 2014 when it was announced? It was kind of, it boggled my mind. I was like, what the hell is going on? I didn't think we was going to get a Street Fighter until at least like 2017 or whatever like that, or 2018, because of the time period that he said they was going to give that they gave us when we was going to see Street Fighter. But later that we know is that Sony had pretty much came to Capcom and decided that they wanted it to be an exclusive. So they pretty much funded some money to Capcom in order for them to pretty much kickstart Street Fighter 5. So this pretty much pushed, I guess you could say, helped slash the release date of the game down by 2 or 3 years or whatever, and this allowed them to pretty much give us an idea what Street Fighter V was going to be about. And they had an exhibition match between Mike Ross and I believe it was Combo Fiend to give you an inkling or give you an idea what they're doing with Street Fighter V. And of course, it was still rough around the edges, but it still looked pretty good for the next gen Street Fighter game. Especially everybody was super excited where you was able to kick your opponents through the other side or to an extinction of the stage, especially the Chinatown stage. You had to kick them into the restaurant, and then you had to kick them into the kitchen where the soup bowl will fall into the character's head. So there was a lot of potential there as far as Street Fighter V is concerned. And then later on, we had to wait until they give us more information. So later on, we eventually found out that they were planning on to I guess do something different with this series and with this franchise. They wanted it to be more of a platform. They wanted Street Fighter V to be more of a service where they gradually update the game each year, whether it's characters, stages, color palettes and story mode features and everything like that. So they was already prepping everything up as far as that's concerned. Now I think that everyone's excitement for Street Fighter V, kind of like everybody glossed over that little tad bit of information that they pretty much said they were going to do with Street Fighter V by making it a game service, maybe making it a platform and so forth and so on. And they said with this, it also allowed them to not have to, I guess you can say, re-release Street Fighter, like different physical copies, like how you had Street Fighter, then you have Street Fighter 4, then you have Super Street Fighter 4, then you have Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, then you have Street Fighter Arcade Edition 2013, then you have Ultra Street Fighter 4. So they said they wanted to eliminate that because a lot of fans didn't like that they keep rehashing or re-releasing it and then add some other things to it and then resell it to you. So they said with this version, when they make it as a service and make it as a platform, you'll be able to pretty much everyone will have the same version regardless. It just update and everybody is still on the same service. So that also sounded like a good idea. And then we finally eventually get the character reveals. It looks like that Capcom in a sense were pretty much, I guess you could say, listening to fan feedback as far as most wanted characters, because then we had got the announcement of Charlie Nash, and then we also got Armika. We also had gotten Alex. It was a lot of characters that everybody was hoping for and hoping to see make it back into Street Fighter, the Street Fighter franchise. And then we finally got the release date, or we finally got the launch of Street Fighter 5, and it pretty much boggled everybody's mind. It pretty much disappointed everyone with Street Fighter 5 and what they done with it because of how bare bones it was. It didn't have a proper arcade ladder. It didn't even have a story mode. It didn't have anything. It just had the bare minimum. All you had was your versus mode, your typical training, your typical trial mode, and then online. And that's all you had. There really wasn't much for the casual player or just for fighting game players to really latch onto to pretty much want to come back and play more of it. It just felt like the bare minimum. And then once people actually gotten down into the gameplay as far as the V triggers is concerned, the critical art system is concerned, a lot of people felt like they were limited as far as being creative with their combos and everything. Specifically, like I said, a lot of players love Street Fighter 4 and past Street Fighter entries because even though one player would play Ryu one way, like Daigo for instance, and then you have a person like Alex Vi who would play Ryu totally different, and both of these players picked the same characters, but they went about how they performed their combos and their creativity with the character much differently. And it seemed like with Street Fighter 5, they pretty much limit that or took that creativity from the players, and a lot of players felt confined into a box to where players pretty much had a flow chart, and every player who played that character pretty much followed that flow chart because it was, I guess you could say, the effective way in order to get the best damage output and everything like that. So it kind of hurt the game in a way, especially when the game also lacked like James Shin said, especially when the game lacks proximity normals as well, like the previous Street Fighter games had. But you definitely need to check out James Shin video. We talked about proximity normals in Street Fighter, and I didn't know how important it was to a fighting game and to a game like Street Fighter as well, how that also affect the combo potential and how the game plays as well. But it had so many mistakes, and then when they revealed that they're going to have a season pass, and the game already started with less fighters, most of the cast that was started in the game wasn't quite as fun or appealing. So most of the people had to wait until their favorite fighters make it in. Hopefully they make it in during the season pass. Especially people were waiting for characters like Balrog, Sagat, Juri. Like I said, Alex. It was a bunch of characters that everyone was waiting for, so people had to wait for these season passes to release, and hopefully that the characters make it in. And it seemed like that each season that was announced, people would get excited for these characters. And I think the issue is, once people got their hands on the characters, the characters were like a former shell, was like a shell of what they used to be. Some of the characters were very lacking, very uninspired as far as animation is concerned. And then you later found out that Capcom didn't really do most of the characters in-house. They had to outsource their characters. That's why some character animations or how some characters didn't match up or look quite different than other characters that's within the Street Fighter V roster. So a lot of people had issues with that. And as far as I'm concerned, you had a particular meta where certain characters was much more viable than other characters, so people would just pretty much stick to those particular characters and just run through with that. But you still had players who still had faith that Capcom would come through and fix some of the issues, and that's when we finally officially got the announcement of Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, which they introduced yet again some more characters. But disappointingly, when they said that they weren't going to do another, I guess you say, a disc-based update, they weren't going to do that anymore, but it ended up coming out with Street Fighter V Arcade Edition on disc, and it included all the past I believe the past two season characters on disc or through a code that you implement. So I think that kind of disappointed a lot of other players who worked hard to try to grind out the characters with the fight money system and everything, and also for those who got the season pass, shelled out a lot of money just for them to reduce the price, and those players who just now getting into the entry got access to those 2 seasons of characters. And then the players who been supporting Street Fighter V had pretty much got shafted with nothing really new at all. It's just that that players who've been playing the game for so long just had the advantage of the fight money that they can earn. There was really no real, privilege for having to be the early adopter of Street Fighter V. So that did kind of turn fans off in a way. But Capcom tried to make their attempt to try to make the game much better by adding the arcade mode that I guess you say they can replicate the different versions of Street Fighter from Street Fighter 1 all the way up to Street Fighter 5, and to try to give players a bang for their buck and give players something that they can have fun with. And of course they did a year or months before that, they did implement I guess an actual story mode for people to actually try out and play. So even with that being said and done, they implemented the dojo feature where you had to customize your own dojo and everything, and you be able to invite players for sessions and stuff. And then they started going farther down the road with adding ads and ads into the game, and promotional ads, and for you to be able to get additional fight money, which wasn't much. So fans were still saying like, hey, you get like, Capcom, what are you doing? Like, where's our favorite characters? What are you going to do to be able to fix the game? Are you going to give us additional V triggers or critical arts or anything like that? What's going on? How are you going to go about this? Because we're still waiting. So now we make it into this year, and we wait, and everyone is still waiting for Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition Season 4. They did announce that there's an arcade version coming to Japan and other countries, but yet no one still knows if there's going to be a Season 4. And Capcom's been quite quiet about it. We have gotten Kage. After the whole Capcom Cup was done, we gotten Kage, which people wasn't really hyped for because it leaked out a few hours before they actually showed the character. And people was expecting an official Season 4 and have yet to see anything, but yet they keep selling costumes to everybody, which everyone is getting sick of the costumes because of how expensive the costumes can be, but yet no one have seen any updates as far as balancing is concerned, as far as new characters are concerned. What are they going to do with Street Fighter V Arcade Edition from here on out? Now, to me, in my opinion, I think the writing is already on the wall as far as that's concerned. as far as Street Fighter 5 and its life is concerned. I already believe that Capcom is already looking forward to the future and to the next Street Fighter entry, which is Street Fighter 6, in my opinion. I think they realized that they really made a mistake with Street Fighter 5, and in my opinion, I don't think there's not really much you can do, because it's in the gameplay mechanics itself. It's hardwired in it to where there's really not much you can do in order to save this game at this point. I think you can still salvage it to make it fun, to make it last a year or two more, but I think that they really screwed up with this game, and Capcom realizes that, similar to what they realized with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which I will get into another video, in a separate video, talking about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and the future of the Marvel vs. Capcom series from here on out, from Capcom and Marvel. But in this video, like I said, I think the writing's on the wall. I think Capcom really realized that they really made a mistake. Will there be any season 4 as far as character concerned? Who knows? There still could be a possibility. But even if we do get a season 4 with all the with newer characters, I think this would pretty much be the last season overall, and even support for the game, because we have, let me see, we have next gen consoles coming right around the corner. We have PlayStation 5, which now we have the specs to. We also have information and details of how powerful the next Xbox hardware is going to be. The Nintendo Switch is out, but there's already rumors that a Nintendo Switch Pro is coming. So we already have next gen consoles on the way, and I'm pretty sure companies already got dev kits concerning these consoles, and they already probably working and looking into the next generation of fighting games in general, like Bandai Namco. We could be getting Tekken Cross Street Fighter, another game that I've been looking forward to for some time now, ever since Street Fighter Cross Tekken was announced. Maybe that might be the next gen Tekken kind of game for the next gen consoles. So I really believe that Capcom is just looking forward to Street Fighter 6, and probably already have a team together, and they already doing the groundwork for it, because they know at this point that they just experiment with Street Fighter 5 and see what they can do, or maybe they can implement other things into Street Fighter 6. But I think, to me, the writing's on the wall with this. I think we only got a little bit of time left with this game, and I believe that maybe around EVO, or maybe at the end of this year with this Capcom Pro Tour, that we'll pretty much get at least a hint or some kind of announcement regarding the next Street Fighter game. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts, because I really believe that this is it for Street Fighter 5. I really think that Capcom has pretty much given up on this game, and it's going to pretty much give us a bone just to keep fans happy, just to shut the fans up while they work on Street Fighter 6. So I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think that Capcom is in the background quietly working on Street Fighter 6? And do you think that they are going to give us a season 4? And do you think that season 4 of Street Fighter 5 is going to be the last season, and as far as support is concerned, for Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition? I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And that pretty much wraps this video up. This is MugenLord. If you like anything or want to hear anything Street Fighter related, definitely hit the bell to be notified for more videos. This is MugenLord signing off. See you Game Fiends later. Peace out. It looks like you reached the end of the video. Well, while you're at it, check out some of my other discussion videos by clicking on the annotations below, and don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms to stay up to date with future content. Signing off.